What's going on, Bird Gang? How's it going? Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval here once again for another episode of Cardinals Corner. OTAs, officially a thing of the past as we're turning our attention now to mandatory minicamp. But before we get there, OTAs in it in a pretty big way with Kyler Murray speaking with not only the media, but with Arizona Sports Wolf and Luke this week. A lot he had to say. But before we get there, Lauren, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Tyler. Thank you.
No problem. You actually had a little behind-the-scenes time down at a Tempe training facility this past week, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was out there for 3 days, and it was honestly as fun as ever. I love the time that I get to spend down there before the beginning of the season and talking with all the guys. And like you said, Kyler joined Wolf and Luke. I was down there producing Wolf and Luke, so I got a little bit of one-on-one time and 4-on-1 time with Kyler. So it was very exciting.
Yeah. Just, I don't have to dig deep into the conversation you had with him. Very probably surface level going in there doing his interview. But what was your feeling of just interacting with him? I'm going to guess for the first time.
Yes. So it was for the first time. And he's very quiet and soft-spoken, but confident. And I was a little bit sort of, I felt leaving that sad for people who rip him openly because he doesn't deserve it at all. And talking with him in this capacity, I learned a little bit more about him as just a human being and what he's like and how he's not sort of built to be this really outrageous, super talkative leader. That's just not who he's going to be, but he was very personable and very kind.
Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, a lot we've got to cover with Kyler, and I think we just got to get right into it. And I think we've got to start with Wolf and Luke's exclusive interview. You can check it out on the Arizona Sports app, arizonasports.com. It was on 98.7. The big thing there, I think, was just his straight up saying he wanted to be under center more. And you know what? We'll let him say it himself.
First couple of years, like I asked to, do a little bit more of it because I feel like we had tendencies and obviously with the former regime, it was a lot of shotgun, obviously a lot of, quote unquote air raid and stuff like that. So it was, teams could kind of go off of tendencies and stuff like that. But you get under center, you gotta respect the run, you gotta respect the outside zone, you gotta respect the play action. You can't see the ball certain time. Like there's just a lot of things that. This is a new age of game and everybody's throwing it around, but to be able to do both and be as versatile as possible is what I like to be and what I think Drew and everybody else wants to be, and not be predictable, and they do a great job. They do a great job of that, scouting ourselves and understanding. Drew's I feel like Drew's a genius. He's a really smart dude. And he's very self-aware of what, if we did this or why it didn't work or vice versa. It's just little details, I'm very big on the little details because it all matters. So I do enjoy being under center, and I'm sure we'll do a little bit more of it.
For me, that says so much. Just the fact that he asked to be under center first, and I think everybody was kind of thinking, hey, we need to see different offense. We need to see more. I think a lot of people thought Kyler Murray can't operate under center. That was a big narrative that was getting thrown around. Clearly, he wanted to do that. It was more on the old regime that said, hey, we're going to stick with air raid, shotgun. We're going to keep it how it is. We're going to let those tendencies get shown to the defense.
And it speaks to the dysfunction that we sort of all knew existed there of Kyler saying, this is something I really want to do, and this is something I want to try out, and I want to change things up. And that past regime obviously saying no, that's not how that's going to go. And that narrative that was sort of built around Kyler doesn't want to adapt, Kyler doesn't want to change things. Obviously not true. Yeah. It just, he wasn't given the opportunity to do that. I do think that just the way in that entire interview that he spoke about how he felt about the past regime and not being able to play under center and feeling sort of forced into playing an offense. Yeah, that he didn't feel comfortable playing, and that is apparent to how he contrasts his feelings with the offensive leaders and coaches in the locker room now, day and night.
Yeah, it was really just very interesting to see just the contrast of how it was like, I really wanted to do this. I had to feel like, it felt more times than not, I had to be Superman. I had to go force things for us to win the game. Whereas now it's, I can go do my thing, but I can be myself. I don't have to go overexert myself to get us the win. We've got James Conner. We've got Greg Dortch. We've got Michael Wilson. We've got Zay Jones. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr. We've got a carousel of guys who can come and do the job that for 4 or 5 years that was thrown on him for so long. So that alone was just easily the biggest thing. Without saying names, without diving too far into the old regime, that's, I think, what everybody was waiting for him to say. I think it's been noticeable, and we can also bring in this quote too. This has been his best offseason in a while, and I'll say in his career. I mean, obviously you're coming out 2019, you've got the draft prep, all that stuff. 2020, you're taking that next step, and I just think 2021 might have been the top of the mountain, I should say. But from an off-season standpoint, he's doing everything right. And here's the thing is we can all say, like, wow, he's doing this right. It looks like there's a noticeable, improvement with him and the team and his players and his coaches and all of that. And for him to actually come out and say, yeah, this is one of my best off seasons, that says a lot, and I'll let him do the talking.
It's been good. Probably, I don't want to say, it's felt like one of the best off seasons I've had in a long time. Just being able to, one, be healthy, and then two, be in touch with the guys and actually, be a part of it. Obviously last year, being on the side, working with Buddy every day, having to watch, having to be in meetings and not really being able to get a feel for anything. It just makes a difference. Makes a difference when I'm out there, and we're all getting better together. So, not only on the field but off the field, everything's been it's been a good offseason.
And I think that just lines up with everything that we've seen. And it just is another step in the right direction. He continues to talk about the trust and the relationship that he's building with Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort, his teammates. Darius Robinson even said, like, he came and talked to him a little bit about what he can improve on. And Darius was like, that was so cool. I talked to Kyler Murray. He's helping me. Like, those little things. And the way that Kyler kind of was like, oh, yeah, he's on my team. I want him to do good because if he does good, we're all doing good. Like, that's what we have to have. That's the kind of mentality I think everybody's kind of been waiting to see him really take that next step and say those kind of things. And he finally did it. And it's just a huge step in the right direction for what this team wants to get to and could get to.
And that leadership role that we've sort of wanted to see him take, where he's using his voice and his actions to back the team up, back his teammates up, back up the coaches in the current regime that he has now. And I think that if you step out and just listen to how he spoke about players, teammates, coaches, let's say 2 years ago, look back at just how he even speaks about himself, is a complete and total 180 from the Kyler that we've heard speak this week in both media availability and both with Wolf and Luke. It's like he aged like 40 years because you hear him talk and he has a lot more maturity, and maturity might not even be the right word, but it almost sounds like he's aware of what's happening.
Thoughtful.
Exactly. Yes. It's more thoughtful. It's more specific, even. It's more detail oriented. And I think that shows exactly the kind of off season that he's been having. It's more detail oriented. It's more thoughtful. It's more cohesive. It's more together. We've even spoken about how the rookies who all come in sort of regurgitate the same stuff, but they all really passionately feel that. And Kyler is, I don't want to say regurgitating the same thing because he isn't, but he is speaking about this collective unit, and that is the Arizona Cardinals.
And not only is he, that collective unit, he's talking about that, he's also being that leading voice. That's what I think I'm taking away a lot too, is it's not just saying the same things these rookies are saying and being that team first mentality. It's saying it in a way that you're the leader. People are going to listen to you. And I think even he didn't go too far into it, but even saying he's the old man now, it feels like that alone. I mean, you've got to really, it's on you to take that next step if you're seeing those things around you. And it's huge for him to really realize that. And obviously, going through the torn ACL, going through missing a lot of time, going through the old regime and the changes, that's going to impact you. And however you deal with that change that's who you are. And I think we're really seeing this kind of reborn evolution of Kyler Murray right in front of our eyes. And everybody, I mean, when he got drafted, I remember people were like, oh, he's got to do more of this. He's got to do more of this. And every year, just even more. He's got to be at the training facility every day. He's got to be doing this with his teammates. And every single box everybody wanted him to check before is now getting checked twice over now. It's wild.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit on last week's podcast of sort of what do we attribute this level of sort of success that we've seen in the offseason from him. And I still don't know where I land on that. I do think that the new coaching staff is the most important part. But you can look back, like you said, on the ACL injury and go, okay, was it the fact that he tore his ACL and now he's realized that sort of his career in football is more fragile than maybe he thought it was? Is it the fact that that's the first time he truly faced adversity? You know, he's great in high school. He's great in college. He gets to the NFL and finds a level of success, not what everybody else has wanted, but he finds a level of success early in his career. And then to have that taken away from him, he has to work with an old coaching staff that it's apparent he didn't really vibe with and didn't really work with. I don't know what I can say is the specific detail as to why he has found such a step and such a leadership growth that is apparent to not only the people inside the team, but fans and people who watch this team closely. But I am fully bought in on leader Kyler.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Just being there every day. It's just, there's a change. There's a clear change in the right direction. You can't ask for any more from him right at this point. He also did talk a lot about Marvin and the addition that brings to not only the offense, but just the team as a whole and what he can do for this offense moving forward. A lot of good things he had to say about him. I'll let him do that as well. A little more from Kyler.
I was geeked up when we drafted him because you got Trey, you got James, Mike Dortch, and all the guys that we added. And you get a guy like that. You're never. I'm gonna say you're never, but I don't envision us drafting top 5. You know, you don't get an opportunity to get a guy like that. You know what I mean? And so, when a guy like that is hitting you in the face because the quarterbacks are gonna go, you know, to me it was kind of a no-brainer. Obviously the best receiver in the draft, I feel like, and I'm very, you know, he had a great day today. You know, I believe he's gonna go show it. Obviously, you know, we got to keep connecting and getting better, but just the talent that he is, it's natural. It's not there's a lot of things that he does that you can't even coach. So it to me, it was kind of, like I said, it was a no-brainer. But just to add him in on top of the guys that we have is another, you know, that's another thing that guys got to worry about. Defenses have to worry about. They got to scheme for, or don't, and you know, find out.
So with that though, he mentioned a lot of other people. And I actually want to take this into a little bit of a question. I asked some people online too as well. When you're looking at this roster, the starting offense, what it possibly could be, where do you rank this in terms of, I guess, the Kyler-led offense? Is this the best he's been set up in his career since 2019? Or is there some other years in there that you would maybe reference as potential combatants to 2024?
Yeah, there are a few years that stand out for me right away, but I think for everybody who's either watching or listening at home, if you want to just go through the years and his top weapons there. Yeah.
So for me, I came down to two years, 2020 and 2021. 2020, let's roll it down real quick. Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Max Williams, and Dan Arnold was in there too. That's 2020. Pretty solid. 2021. Kyler, Chase Edmonds, A.J. Green, D-Hop, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz. And if we're looking at 2024, Kyler, James Conner, Marvin, you've got Michael Wilson or Zay Jones, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Potential. I mean, there's nothing on paper. We know what 2020 did. We know what 2021 did. We don't know what 2024 is going to do. But entering the offseason, or entering the year, where do you list this potential offensive threat?
One.
One.
But very closely followed by 2020.
Oh, 2020, not 2021?
No, 2020.
Okay.
Because of Fitz.
Okay.
And growing up and watching this team and sort of, I would speak for most Arizona Cardinals fans when I say their emotional connection to him, and not knowing at the time that was going to be his last year, is really sweet and sort of nostalgic, so I might be even letting my nostalgia get in the way there a little bit. But I would say 2020 next, 2021 the following year to sort of rank those.
Okay.
The excitement heading into this season, I mean, you have a number 4 overall wide receiver on your team with a breakout tight end in Trey McBride, who really proved what he can do for you. And then you went and not only decided, okay, we're just going to throw MHJ out there and hope that things work out, but you build around him. And you create an offense that really lets other people thrive in positions they should be in. And Kyler spoke a little bit about this week, even his love for Greg Dortch.
Yeah.
How much he loves him.
Unguardable.
Exactly. There's strong connection. He said something along, I'm going to paraphrase loosely here, but he said something along the lines of, if he was a taller,
6'3",
exactly, wide receiver in the NFL,
he'd be a top 5 pick.
nobody would stop talking about him.
Yeah.
And that's how he feels about him. And he's not even wide receiver 1 or 2 on this team. And Kyler's that excited about being able to throw him the ball. And Dortch is set up perfectly in this offense to thrive and be plug and play how they need him to be. So, Mike's, with all that being said, this is the season I'm the most excited for, offensive weapons-wise.
Me too. A lot of unproven, I feel. You know, Michael Wilson, what can he do in year 2? What can Marvin Harrison do? What can Greg Dortch do, knowing the opportunity is there for him? He no longer has to battle with a Rondell Moore to get those reps. Like, it is his job. And from what Jonathan Gannon's already said, he's loving the competition between Greg Dortch and Garrett Williams in that slot and nickel. So, really fun competition there. It's top to bottom, I think so, because you've got James Conner's coming off a career year. You've got Trey McBride coming off a career year. You've got Michael Wilson backing up Marvin Harrison along with Zay Jones, who brings a veteran presence to the room. And yeah, Greg Dortch. I mean, light the Dortch right now if you want to. It's just the amount of weapons just seem like they're busting at the seams right now for the Cardinals. And I feel like we could say that a little bit in the past, but it was like, here's a big name here and a big name here. After that, it kind of drops off a little bit.
I think that's perfect. I think you've nailed that there. The untapped potential of this year's team is what makes them so exciting. I hope that a year from now, when we're sitting in these seats, we can say, that was the most exciting offense.
Easily,
We were
cut.
right.
Yep.
We were right. There's no competition there. I hope that's what we get to. The amount of untapped potential on this year's offensive side is so exciting. And I think part of that goes hand in hand with our discussion about Kyler. Is that he's taken this new leadership role and he's excited about what we're going to see and what he's going to be able to do and actually have a full season and have that full off season with this team. So that's why, for me, they're number 1.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple of listener answers. We asked both these questions of biggest takeaway from them and you guys, and what is the what is your best offense for the team? K2 hit us up for both of them. He basically hit on every single thing we talked about with Kyler. Under center, talking about the tendencies and shotgun, all of that. He also said 2024 is his top offense. We also got Jake Trek, who said, sounds like he's all in, which is huge compared to the Cliff and Keim days. And I could not agree more. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think anybody's ever doubted his ability. I think it's all been what's going on upstairs and alongside him more so than really what's going on with him, at least in the last couple of years.
Exactly, and sort of his mental strength and stability that he's found with this current regime and with this team. I think also when he spoke on Wednesday to the media, there was a bit of a pause in the presser because somebody asked him, what do you think about Vegas putting you guys at 6.5 wins? And he pauses and he starts to say something and he cuts himself off. And when he cuts himself off, everybody was like, what did he say? What was he going to say? He was going to say over.
I think he was going to say over.
He was going to say over. Take the over on wins. And that kind of excitement already at this point in the season, everybody out on that field, all the players that I've talked to, all the coaches, wish that there was no training camp, essentially. We could just jump into the season right now.
Yeah.
And everybody says that on or off the air, you know, right before we'd start an interview and you're just chit-chatting about whatever. They'd be like, yeah, no, I'm ready to go right now. Like, I'm ready to hit somebody into the ground. Darius was saying it right before he came on. He was like, no, I realize that I'm a rookie, but I'm ready to go.
Yep. Oh yeah, they are. Everybody in that facility seems like they're ready to go. Even injured coaches, Derek LeBlanc.
Yes.
out there still doing his thing every practice, even though he's got like a torn Achilles or ACL. He's got
Something
a couple. He's got a couple
serious.
things going on. That man, that's dedication. But yeah, with that, I think we are going to turn it over to next week. But be sure to keep it locked on Cardinals Corner. Keep it locked on the Arizona Sports app, 98.7 and ArizonaSports.com as we continue to bring you the latest surrounding the Arizona Cardinals and all the other Arizona sports teams in the state. So be sure to follow me at TDrake for Sports. Be sure to follow Lauren at Koval_Lauren. Follow the show at AZ Cards Corner. After this week, no more voluntary work. It's all mandatory. So with that, you better be back here because it's going to be mandatory. We'll see you guys next time.